Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of BlueSync. Can you guys see my screen okay and hear me? Perfect. Alrighty, so today we are going to be going over the Google Calendar and just kind of some tips and tricks and how to kind of get the most out of utilizing it. I love it. I use it all the time. It's definitely how I stay even remotely organized throughout my day. So I think that this is a really important thing to learn, especially on the admin side, as we obviously have a lot of different calls and things going on throughout our days. So this is definitely going to be a useful training. So first off, I just wanted to start out by saying that there is multiple ways that you can actually access your Google Calendar. So one of the first ways is if you're just on your main Google screen. So if you open up your Google Chrome platform, and then you go to this cluster of dots in the upper right-hand side, you can click on that, and then somewhere in here you will find where it says calendar. Now you might have to move it, it might be farther down. You can just drop and drag any of these icons wherever you want them to be. So if you want it to be up more towards the top, like I have mine, you can simply drop and drag it wherever you would like it to be for easy access. So I'm going to go ahead and click into it right now just to open that up. And the other way that I'm going to show you guys how to access it is actually through your email. So I'm going to do that kind of later on in the call. It's going to kind of buddy up with some other things that I'm going to show you. So now that we have our calendar open, I'm just going to give kind of a brief rundown of everything that is on this screen here. So right now I currently have mine in month view. I have a lot of calendars and I keep them all turned on, so it looks a little crazy. But you do have full control over what calendars are shown and kind of how busy your calendar looks at all times. So to start off here, like I said, I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of the page and some different things that you can find on here. So kind of starting over in the right-hand top area, there is a little search glass. So if you are wanting to find a specific meeting with someone or anything like that, a holiday, you can always use the search bar here to find it quickly if you don't feel like scrolling through all the days or months to find it. The next thing is going to be this question mark with a circle around it, which if you hover over it does say support. So if you click on this, it's going to give you a couple of different options. There is a help section, which is going to open you up into just kind of some popular kind of things that people need help with. So if you need something and you're not sure how to do it on your calendar, you can always utilize that help option. There's also training and updates, and also a place at the very bottom to send feedback to Google. So this is always helpful. We love support. Obviously, we use it a lot for Moxie and all of those other tools. So it is just as helpful within the Google platform as well. Next is going to be our settings. So typical gear shift here to show our settings. And then, of course, our first option is going to be our settings. Then we have our trash. So this does store things that you delete and move to trash for a while. You can always mess around with the density and color of your calendar. So this is just going to be kind of how that calendar looks. So you can play with that to make it look more visually appealing to you. I kind of liked it the way that it was, so I'm going to leave it at that. But there is a lot of different things that you can kind of do to make this, personalized to you and something that you would like to use. You also have the ability to print the screen, which is nice if you have a specific calendar that you want to print out and have a paper copy of. You can always do that as well. I'm going to open up our settings here just so we can kind of walk through those. So this is going to be your basic settings for your whole calendar profile. So this isn't necessarily for a specific calendar or event. This is just going to be kind of your basic setup settings. Now, most of you probably won't ever really need to change anything in here, but you can if you need to. So of course, we have our basic things like our language, what country we're in. You can change what date format you have listed. It kind of automatically defaults to what we use here. And then also the time format as well. if you want it in the 24-hour version or just the standard version as well. You can also add different time zones. So if you are someone who frequently works between two different time zones or is scheduling things between two different time zones, you can always add a secondary time zone and make one your primary. That way it helps you to stay organized a little bit better. And then going into our event settings, you also have the ability to change how your default is when you set up an event. So things are usually set up for 1 hour. So if you were to go in and create an event, it would automatically default, say, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You do have the ability to shorten that. So if you typically are creating a meeting and your meetings are only half an hour, 20 minutes, or maybe they're longer, you do have the ability to edit that. And you can always change that when you are creating the individual event. But again, this is just kind of going to be able to change your default setting for when you are creating all events. So you do have the ability to change that as you're setting them up individually, but if you want your default to be different, you can change it there easily as well. And then you can also change your permissions. So this is going to be, again, the default options for when you are sharing a event or a calendar with people. These are going to be kind of the main things that they're able to do. It's usually pretty standard that they can't modify the event. However, again, all of this stuff you can change on each event individually. So if you are setting up an event and you want to make sure that maybe another ASC or a manager does have the ability to make changes to it, you can do that when you're creating the event as well. You can also set up notifications. So I really love to use the notifications. You can set up either an alert, which is just going to kind of pop up if you have your Google Calendar open and it's going to say, hey, you have an event in 10 minutes or whatever you set up the time cadence to be on that. And I will show you a little bit deeper on how to actually set those up for each event or each calendar as we kind of move along here. And then this is all just kind of basic stuff that you can choose more things that are kind of specific to how you want your calendar to look, what day your week starts on, what your kind of view is of your schedule usually. So all of this stuff is really just there for you to be able to personalize it. You can also set up working hours if you want. I do not have that turned on. You don't need it, but if you do want to set up, maybe you're in the office every day from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, or you want to add in when your lunch break is so people know if you're available or not, you do have the ability to do that all as well. So that's pretty much it for the settings. And I would recommend if you are kind of interested in seeing what personalization you can do to just kind of get in here and poke around a little bit and see how you might want yours to be set up. I'm going to go ahead and click this left-hand arrow at the top and go back to our main calendar screen. Now, the next thing that you can play with here, which I always usually keep it on the month view when I'm looking at it like this, but if you do click on this drop down, you can choose whether you view the calendar from a day standpoint, a week, a month, a year, a schedule, or 4 days. So I will quickly kind of show you what that looks like. So this is the day view. It has all the times laid out, all of your events. Week is obviously going to show you from your calendar week that you have set up, all of your events throughout that time period. Month is what I have previously been on. You can pull up the year if you're wanting to kind of quickly look and see, what day maybe a certain holiday falls on or anything like that. And then you can also do a schedule view, which is nice if you are someone who really just kind of wants to see what times you have things going on. I personally like it to be on the day more. That way I can actually see, where there's gaps in my day, so on and so forth. I think that that is a lot better for me. But again, this is all personalized to you. And that is the whole goal here, is to show you guys how you can make this more user-friendly for yourself. Okay, so moving on, we have this next little area where there's two buttons that you can click between. It's going to automatically default to be on your calendar. However, you can also view your tasks from here as well. We've talked about these in other trainings, and I'm just going to quickly touch on it now. But if we do click into where there is a circle with a check mark, you do have the ability to set up tasks in Google Calendar. And this is helpful if you are someone who kind of likes to write yourself notes or anything throughout the day, reminders to do things, or maybe by the end of the week, the end of the month. If you ever wanted to move this to be all digital, you could definitely do that using this option. So if you go ahead and click Add Task up at the top, you can give the task a title. Let's put in Send Reports. You can give a little description if you want. And then you can also set up a day and time that it needs to be completed by. So maybe I'm going to have this done by the end of the month at 11:30. I can also set it up to repeat, say, every month or however I wanted to do that. And then now it is showing up as a task that I have. And then after, I'll show you guys again when I'm back in my email, how this kind of can play into your email. And you can have this open throughout the day as well to use kind of as a reminder list throughout your day. But then you would just check it off once it was completed. You can also edit it. Like I said, this is just a really good way if you're someone who likes to frequently create sticky notes or write yourself little notes throughout the day to do something. If you are interested in making it kind of more digital, you can do it this way. And then the next thing is just the classic Google Apps, which is where we located our calendar in the first place. So I'm not going to go over that. I'm going to switch back to our calendar view though. That way I can go through and show you guys the rest of the stuff. So now we're going to move over to the left-hand navigation panel over here. So as you can see, this is where all of my calendars are housed. So this is all the calendars here, and then also more that I have added from other people down here below where it says other calendars. And if you'll notice, there's some that have a checkbox that is highlighted, and there's other ones that have a box that is empty. And that is how you can actually specify between what calendars are shown and what are not. I think I had a chat. I'm going to open it really quick. Do the tasks show up on the daily calendar, or do we have to switch on the tasks to see them? When I get to the end, I'm going to show you guys how you can open them in your email and have them show up on your side panel along with your calendar. You can add tasks into your calendar as well, kind of as events. And I'll kind of show you guys where that is too in just a minute. So like I said, all of these that I have unchecked are not currently showing. This is a good way to kind of clean up your calendars if there's things that you really don't need to have showing all the time, maybe isn't super important. You can kind of control how busy your calendar looks. Like I said, I have a lot of them turned on, so my calendar always looks a little crazy. But you can also, if you hover over any of these calendars, you can click the three dots next to them. And the first thing that I really like to do is color code. So I like to kind of assign a color to each calendar that I have. That way it helps me to kind of remember, what kind of an event it is or what it's scheduled for. So if you are someone who really likes to kind of color code and have things organized that way, this is a really nice tool. And then also we're going to go into our settings and sharing here. And this is going to be the settings for this calendar. So this isn't going to be my default settings. This is going to be what kind of the settings are across the board for anyone who has access to this calendar, and kind of, anyone can see. So I'm just kind of on my main one for my profile. You can always add a description for the calendar. So maybe if I wanted to write work profile calendar, I could do that. I always have my time zone set, and then You can also get a shareable link here. So if you want to send out a calendar, obviously this is my personal work one, so I wouldn't do it with this one, but the settings are going to be the same with any of these. But if I did want to share this out and just send people a link to it, I could do it by hitting get shareable link, copy and paste that into an email, a text message, however I wanted to share it. However, when we are sharing calendars with, say, agents or other, ASCs, admins, anyone in our company, the easiest way to do that is the next area down where it says share with specific people or groups and hitting this add people or groups here, which then you can add in any group that you have created in your contacts or any person and share it with them through there as well. So then they will get an email notification and be able to add it to their calendar, which I will show you as well at the end of this training. Here's where you can set up those notifications. So these are notifications for my personal work calendar. So you can always have it set up too to send you an email. So an email 10 minutes before, you can do it days, hours, weeks. You can really get specific. And you can even add in multiple notifications. So if you want to have maybe one a day before, one 10 minutes before, an hour before, you can do that as well, which is very helpful. I'm going to change that back so I don't start getting a bunch of email notifications. But it really is pretty easy to kind of manipulate these in here. And then if you ever do want to delete the calendar, maybe it's not one that you're really using anymore, or you were just kind of making one to play around with and you don't want it to show up on your list, you can always hit the delete button down here and it will completely remove from your list as well. So just kind of a little housekeeping tip there. And then I'll also show you guys how you can create a new event or a new calendar. So to create a new calendar, you're going to go where it says other calendars down towards the bottom of the left-hand side and hit that plus sign where it says add other calendars. When you hit that, there's going to be this long list of options. You're going to go to create a new calendar. This is great. Maybe you want to create a calendar for your conference rooms. That's something that we just did here at my office in Traverse City. So maybe you want to create a calendar that you can share with all of your agents so they can schedule, closings, meetings, any of that stuff. Give it a name, give it a description if you want to, and then just hit create calendar. And it will show up in your list on the left-hand side now. Wherever that, just put a conference room schedule right here. And then again, I would just go in on these three dots and then go to settings and sharing and add anyone or any group that I wanted to share that calendar with. So it really is pretty easy. Then they can go in and add it to their calendar, set up notifications if they want, do all of that good stuff. Now, if you're wanting to just add an event, I'm sure most of you probably know how to do that, but I'm just going to do a quick run through in case you don't. So if you're wanting to just add an event, say I want to add a meeting later today with Bart, my manager, I'm just going to click on the day that I want the meeting. So today's the 17th, and that's notated by that blue bubble there. When I click, it's going to open up this little box that will then allow me to enter in the information. Now you can also change it if you want it to go maybe for a couple days. Maybe you're putting in like an out of office thing or anything like that. You can change the duration of the event. You can have it go all day or for specific times. And then you can also add in a Google Meet. So maybe my meeting with Bart was going to be virtual. Maybe he's going to be out of the office. I can just hit add a Google Meet here. And then when I do share this with him, he will get this invitation on his calendar and the Google Meet link will be right there. I won't need to send it to him as well. Then I do need to add him as a guest since it is going to go on his calendar. I'm going to hit Bart. And then the other thing that's really important to do is to make sure that it is going on the correct calendar. So when you create a meeting, it's automatically going to default to your kind of personal work account here. But if you click on where your name appears down at the bottom, the whole list of all of your calendars will show up, and then you can place it on whichever calendar you want. So maybe I'm going to do it in the conference room. Then when I go ahead and hit save, which I'm not going to do because Bart will be very confused. If I hit save, then he will immediately get this notification in his email, and he will be able to add it to his calendar and also join with that Google Meet link that I created as well. So very useful tip there. And I guess I should also show you guys because I said I would. So I'm going to click again where there was an event. And then over across the right-hand side, you can see where it says task. This is how you can add a task to your calendar. So I just clicked on task over here. Same thing, you're going to put in the title of the task. You can add a description. You can put in the date, the time, all of that good stuff. So this is another way that you can add a task kind of to your calendar. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how you can add a event to your calendar from your email. So say I did just send that invitation out to Bart for that Google Meet or that calendar, whatever it may be. He's going to get an email. I'm going to jump over to my email account, and it is going to look something like this. So this is an example I made Angie do for me earlier today. So Angie McNamee has shared a calendar with you. I'm going to click on it here. There's going to be this standard message that said that they shared a calendar with you. It's going to tell the person receiving it what the name of that calendar is. And then all that they have to do is click on this blue Add This Calendar button. And then you're going to want to hit Add on this screen as well. And then you can see it popped in right here, TC Commercial Conference Room upstairs. So then I could go in and change any of the settings for this. I could change the color of it if I wanted to make it match my preferences. But it's as easy as that to kind of add in a calendar from an invite. And it's the same whether it's a calendar or if they're getting a event notification, they will get an email that tells them all of the details that are specific to that. So now that I'm in my email, the last thing that I'm going to kind of show you guys here, and like I said, this is super useful. This is what I use every day, all day to kind of keep me on track and make sure I'm not missing meetings, is on this right-hand side, there's going to be all of these icons. The first one is calendar, then there's a keep button, a task button, and a contacts button. There's also a plus sign. You can add in other widgets if you would like. If you don't see any of these on your right-hand side, if it looks just like that and there's nothing there, down at the very bottom right corner, there's a little arrow that you have to click to kind of expand that out. Once you click on any of these, it's going to open up that little widget on the side of your email. So this is what I keep open pretty much all day, every day, and it just really helps to keep me organized. So this is going to default to the day that you're currently on. So every day when you open your email, if you have this widget open or if you open it, it's going to automatically pull up to the day that it currently is. You do have the ability to toggle to previous days or days ahead. If you kind of want to do a quick, view of what you have going on in the next coming days. And if you get really far and you don't want to arrow all the way back, you can always hit this today button and it will pop you right back to the current date. Now, the other thing to make note of, a lot of the times people will open this and they're like, okay, well, only some of my events are showing up. Only some of my calendars are showing up. If you click on these three dots over here on the right, and then go to select calendars, you can click which calendars are shown in this widget. So for example, I want to turn on Well, I don't know if any of these are going to have events that are going to show, but if I wanted to add any of these, I would just click the button for them and then go back to my widget here and it would show up on this screen. So if you do open this up and you notice that there are events that are not showing up that are for sure on your calendar, you might just have to go in and add the calendar to this specific widget. You can also open your whole calendar by clicking this arrow in the box up here. So that's just going to open your main view of your calendar there if you wanted to take a quick look. And then also, this is where you can also view that task list. So down two options for me is the circle with the check mark. And if I click to that, this is where I can do that task stuff that I was showing you in the main calendar screen as well. So here's that task that I added earlier. You can add new tasks here as well. And then when you are completed with them, all you have to do is check them off your list and they will go away. So very useful tool. Like I said, I use this all the time. I keep it open 24/7. That way I do not forget when I have things going on. I think it's a really handy thing that kind of plays between your Google Calendar and your email account, which is of course why we love the G Suite. All of the things talk together and they work so nicely. So I'm going to check the chat. Does anyone have any questions, comments about any of this stuff before we jump off? I don't see any other chats that came in. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys for joining me today. Of course, this recording will be on the Schmidt Video Classroom later today, so keep an eye out for that. And I will see you next time.